Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood places of pleasure on a woman's body. Not because men don't want to touch it, but because they often don't know how. And more importantly, they don't know how to make it matter. Touching her breast isn't about grabbing what excites you, it's about awakening her, and that shift from taking to evoking is everything. A woman doesn't crave a hand, she craves presence. Before your fingers ever make contact, ask yourself, are you here, or are you just performing a role? Because when a woman feels truly seen, not ogled, truly cherished, not claimed, her body listens. It starts long before your hands. It begins with how you look at her, with how your energy slows the moment, how you breathe. It begins with how much patience you allow between want and touch. Too often touch is rushed, like a race toward the finish line. But in intimacy, the journey is the destination. The slower you go, the deeper she falls into the moment with you. When your hands finally arrive, let them arrive as a question, not an answer. Let your touch ask, do you like this? Do you want more? Listen with your fingertips. Her breath will answer you. Her muscles will respond. Her eyes will tell you if the door is open. Don't aim for symmetry. Don't follow routine. Touch is not a checklist. It's a dance. It's an improvisation between her rhythms and yours. One moment might call for featherlight grazing, the next for a firmer presence. Don't just touch, feel. Feel what your touch does to her. And when she starts to melt, to moan, to arch, don't take it as permission to dominate. Take it as a sacred invitation to stay, to keep building, to explore not just her body, but her aliveness. Because when you touch her with reverence, with curiosity, with permission and boldness, then her body doesn't just react, it blooms. And when a woman blooms under your touch, when she feels safe, thrilled, and desired at once, that's when you drive her wild. Not by force, but by presence. Not by pressure, but by poetry. Let your hands write the story, and let her body tell you how it ends. Most men approach a woman's body, especially her breasts, with the mindset that something needs to be achieved or claimed. There's a sense of urgency, a rush to arouse, to stimulate, to produce a result. But true intimacy doesn't respond to force, it responds to presence. Presence means being fully there, mentally and emotionally, not just physically. It means you're not just touching to get somewhere, you're touching to be with her in that exact moment. And that changes everything. When you're fully present, your touch feels different. It becomes less about technique and more about connection. The difference between a hand that is present and a hand that is performing is the difference between being touched and being moved. Many men fall into a pattern of touching breasts as though it's just a step in a routine. But a woman can tell when your mind is already thinking about the next act. She knows when you're distracted, when you're checking off a box, when your energy is fragmented, and that fragmentation interrupts her ability to surrender to the experience. Her body responds, not just to where you touch her, but to how grounded you are when you do it. A present man brings calm to her nervous system. He creates safety without needing to say a word. His energy says, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm not rushing this moment. When you are present, you notice things others miss. You notice how she breathes. You notice the subtle shifts in her body. You sense when she wants more, and when she needs you to slow down. Your hands become intuitive, not mechanical. You begin to move in rhythm with her, not just on top of her. Presence makes your touch feel personalized. It adapts, it flows, it deepens. And presence is not about performance. It's not about being perfect or rehearsed. In fact, the most powerful moments are often the ones that feel raw and real. When you drop the script and simply let yourself feel, you create space for her to feel as well. That's where intimacy lives. Not in the outcome, but in the shared experience of being fully attuned to each other. Presence also means attunement to your own body. If you're tense, rushing, or disconnected from your own breath, she'll feel that. Women are highly sensitive to the emotional current beneath your actions. If your energy is anxious, or if you're trying to impress her, she'll sense the pressure and it will close her down. But if you breathe deeply, relax into your body, and move with intention rather than haste, she'll begin to open, not just physically, but emotionally. Touching her breast with presence is not a technique, it's a state of being. It's what happens when you slow down enough to actually feel her, not just touch her. It's about staying right there, in the moment, with no agenda other than connection. And when she feels that, your stillness, your focus, your grounded energy, her body begins to trust you. And trust is the doorway to pleasure. Eroticism thrives not in what is given instantly but in what is slowly revealed. Anticipation is the fire starter of desire, and yet so many rush right past it in pursuit of the end goal. When it comes to touching a woman's breasts, or any intimate part of her body, the act itself can only feel erotic if it's preceded by a sense of longing, a building of tension, a delay that heightens the eventual release. Desire isn't just about the act, it's about what leads up to it. The look you give her across the room, the way your hand lingers near her collarbone without diving in, the way you breathe when your lips almost touch her skin but don't. This is the dance of anticipation, and it drives her wild far more than the immediate act ever could. The modern tendency is to move quickly, to assume that because desire is present, action must follow. But slowness is not passivity, it's power. A woman's body responds to suspense, to not knowing what's coming next. The mystery, the delay, the slow build of tension, it all communicates something primal. It tells her she's being savored, not used. It tells her she's being savored, not used. It tells her your desire for her is not only urgent, but intense, that you are willing to wait, and in waiting, you make her feel chosen. When you touch her, without immediately going to her breasts, when you explore the edges of her body first, her shoulders, her neck, her waist, you create a landscape of anticipation. You don't give her what she expects, instead, you offer her what she didn't even know she wanted. Anticipation is also about how you make her feel psychologically. It's in the way you build emotional intimacy alongside physical desire. The teasing, the pauses, the moments when you hold her gaze and do nothing more than breathe together. These are the spaces where eroticism blooms. It's not always about stimulation. It's about invoking a response that is as emotional as it is physical. When she starts to ache for your touch, when her mind is flooded with want, before your hand ever moves to her chest, that is the power of anticipation. You build this through contrast. The contrast between approach and retreat, between tension and release, between touch and hover. Sometimes your hand just floats near her, and even that becomes charged. You let her feel your heat before your skin. You let her hear your breath change before she feels your hands shift. You move slowly, not because you don't want her, but because you want her deeply enough to savor every second. When you finally touch her breasts, it shouldn't be a surprise move, it should be the peak of a crescendo you've been building for minutes. Anticipation makes her body more responsive. It amplifies every nerve, every reaction, and when the moment finally arrives, it's not just touch she feels. It's the entire story your presence has written leading up to that point. Every woman's body is unique, and the way she experiences touch is shaped not only by biology but by emotion, memory, trust, and context. Touching her breasts is not a universal formula you apply, but a language you learn through attentive presence. One woman may crave softness, warmth, and slow circles around the edges, while another may respond more intensely to firm, deliberate pressure and deeper contact. Your job is not to assume but to discover. And that discovery begins by letting go of any belief that what worked before will work again, or that what she likes today is what she'll want tomorrow. Desire lives in nuance, in unpredictability, in the responsiveness of both partners to what is felt in real time. Learning her body is not about technique, it's about communication, not with words necessarily, but with observation. When you touch her, how does she breathe? Does she lean in or pull back? Does her body soften or tense? These cues are not subtle, they're incredibly clear if you're willing to pay attention. Her body speaks, but most people don't listen. They perform, they copy something they saw, something that seemed to work before, and in doing so, they miss the moment. They miss her. Every time you touch her with assumption, you pull away from intimacy and move toward performance. Approaching her breasts with curiosity instead of confidence creates space for intimacy to grow. It says, I want to know you, not just touch you. And that message, that desire to understand her specific pleasure, builds trust. Trust is the soil in which true eroticism grows. It invites her to guide you, not with instruction, but with her response. When she feels that your hands are learning her, that they are adjusting to her reactions, she begins to relax into herself. She stops performing and starts feeling. And when a woman starts feeling deeply, her entire body becomes a canvas of desire. You also have to understand that context matters. Her receptiveness may shift depending on the emotional climate between you, her mood, her stress, or how connected she feels in the moment. Some days she may crave intensity, others, gentleness. What excites her isn't static, it evolves. This is why attentiveness is more important than technique. If you treat her body like a living, breathing story rather than a fixed script, you'll be able to meet her where she is, not just where you want her to be. There is no one way to touch a woman's breasts that guarantees pleasure, but there is one mindset that makes all the difference: humility. When you approach with reverence rather than assumption, when you see her as someone to explore rather than someone to conquer, your touch becomes more than physical, it becomes emotional, even spiritual. You stop chasing results and start cultivating connection. Her body becomes not a puzzle to solve but a word to enter. And in that world, every response she gives you becomes an invitation to go deeper. Confidence without entitlement is one of the most attractive and powerful energies a man can bring into a sexual space. It's not about being loud, dominant, or in control for the sake of control. It's about being grounded in your own desire without assuming access to hers. Women respond deeply to a man who knows what he wants, who can express it through touch, voice, and presence, but who does so with respect, with permission, and without pressure. When you touch her breasts, it's not about taking something or claiming ownership. It's about offering something of yourself, your attention, your focus, your presence, and seeing how she responds. Entitlement often shows up in subtle ways. It's the assumption that because things are heating up, you're automatically allowed to move to the next step. It's the hand that grabs without sensing, that squeezes without waiting, that touches as if it's earned something. And that energy is immediately felt. It may not stop everything, but it shifts the mood. It moves the moment away from connection and into transaction. On the other hand, confidence respects the moment. It listens even when it leads. A confident man can guide without forcing, touch without demanding, move forward while still being open to feedback. His sense of self doesn't collapse if she needs more time. His touch is an invitation, not a demand. To be confident without entitlement means you are secure in your own skin. You know your own desire, and you're not afraid to express it, but you also hold space for hers to unfold. You don't need her to say yes right away to feel valuable. You trust your presence is enough. That calm, rooted energy creates space for her to open, because she feels your strength without feeling your expectation. Women want to feel desired, but they want to feel safe inside that desire. Not safe in a dull or distant way, but safe in the sense that your attention is deeply focused, but never consuming. When you touch her breasts with this kind of energy, she can feel the difference immediately. Your hands are firm, but they're not invasive. You know where you're going, but you're not rushing there. You're willing to adjust, slow down, or change completely if her body says so. And that's the paradox of erotic confidence. It's not rigid. It's flexible, fluid, responsive. The more present you are with her, the more intuitive your touch becomes. You begin to sense her rhythms, her preferences, her breathing, even before she speaks. And when she feels that you're that attuned to her, she doesn't have to guard herself. She can let go. She can relax into the experience because she knows you're not just there to take, you're there to connect. This balance of confidence and humility is what separates mechanical touch from meaningful touch. One moves over her body, the other moves into her experience. One tries to achieve, the other tries to understand. And in that space of understanding, pleasure becomes something far deeper than just sensation. It becomes trust, surrender, and intimacy. Touch is never just physical. It is emotional, psychological, and energetic. When you place your hands on a woman's body, especially somewhere as intimate as her breasts, you are communicating something. The question is, what are you saying? Is your touch expressing curiosity, care, and connection? Or is it expressing entitlement, distraction, or need? Many men underestimate how much information their touch gives away. A rushed hand speaks of impatience. A grab speaks of assumption. A hesitant touch might show fear or insecurity. But a grounded, slow, responsive touch? That speaks of presence, respect, and desire. And it's that kind of message that draws her in. A woman's body listens before it responds. Her skin is intelligent, her nervous system is finely tuned to intention. When you touch her breasts, her body immediately senses if this is about her pleasure or about your ego. She can tell if you are connecting or just reaching. And that awareness, often happening below the level of conscious thought, determines how she responds. If your touch feels like a demand, she might tolerate it, but she won't surrender into it. If it feels like an offering, she begins to open, she begins to trust, she begins to feel. Touching is a form of language. Some men speak the language of taking. Hands that move without listening, that touch without tuning in. Others speak the language of asking. Touch that waits, that senses, that responds to what her body is saying moment to moment. This isn't about asking for permission verbally at every step. It's about asking with your energy. It's about letting your fingertips be a question. Do you like this? Do you want more? Her breath, her posture, her sounds, they all answer you. And when you hear those answers, your hands can move with confidence. Not because you've claimed anything, but because you're now in a shared experience, not a one-sided performance. Reverence changes everything. When you touch her with reverence, your hands become more than hands. They become instruments of attention. You're no longer just stimulating a part of her body, you're speaking to something much deeper. You're letting her know you matter. I'm not just here for what you can give me, I'm here because I want to know you. That message, when delivered sincerely through your touch, is powerful. It creates emotional safety, which amplifies physical pleasure. Her nervous system relaxes, her heart opens, and her body responds in ways that no technique alone could ever produce. When your hands are communicating with presence, intention, and sensitivity, the erotic charge deepens. It's no longer about trying to drive her wild, it's about co-creating an experience where wildness arises naturally. The more attuned your touch, the more her body begins to trust you. And in that trust, she begins to let go. And when she lets go, she doesn't just feel touched, she feels understood. That feeling is rare, and that's what makes it unforgettable. A woman's ability to fully surrender into pleasure depends on two core experiences happening at the same time: safety and mystery. These two states may seem opposite, but together they create the perfect chemistry for deep arousal. Safety allows her body to relax, to soften, to open without fear or tension. Mystery adds the spark, the play, the sense of the unknown that excites and awakens her senses. When you touch her breasts or any part of her body, with both of these energies present, she not only feels desired but also deeply engaged, like she is being drawn into an experience rather than led through a routine. Safety in this context doesn't mean dull or passive. It means she knows she can trust you. It means your presence is grounded, your touch is thoughtful, and your focus is on her, not on a goal. It means you're not rushing, pushing, or acting out a script. Instead, you're in tune with her, responding to her signals, letting her body lead as much as yours. When she feels this kind of safety, her nervous system calms. She stops bracing. Her mind stops spinning. She drops into her body, and that's when real desire begins to stir. Not forced or faked, but naturally, from within. But safety alone is not enough. If everything feels predictable, if touch is too gentle, too repetitive, too careful, it may create comfort but not arousal. That's where mystery steps in. Mystery doesn't mean confusion. It means unpredictability, the kind that excites. It's in the way you alternate pressure, the way your touch hovers before landing, the way you pause when she expects movement, or move when she expects stillness. It's teasing, it's silence between your actions, it's playfulness wrapped in attention. This edge, this sense of not knowing exactly what you'll do next, keeps her mind engaged and her body curious. And curiosity is deeply erotic. When you create an experience where she feels emotionally safe and sensually surprised, her whole body becomes receptive. Her breasts are no longer just a zone of sensation, they become alive with feeling, with attention, with emotional charge. You're not just touching skin, you're activating trust and desire simultaneously. You're making her feel held and hunted in the same breath. That balance is what makes her body burn in the best way. This balance also invites her into her own expression. When a woman feels both secure and stimulated, she becomes more vocal, more expressive, more adventurous. She starts to lead, to touch back, to guide you into her world. And that is the deeper beauty of combining safety with mystery. It's not just about giving her pleasure, it's about awakening her erotic self. It's about creating a space where she doesn't just receive, but where she comes alive. And in that space, your hands stop being just hands, they become something far more powerful, an extension of your presence, your playfulness, your power, and your care. Touching a woman's breasts isn't just about stimulation, it's about connection, communication, and deep presence. When you show up, not with an agenda, but with attention, not with entitlement, but with reverence, you create something far beyond physical pleasure. You create safety, you build trust, and you awaken desire from a place that feels personal and real. When you understand that every woman's body is a unique map, and you explore her with curiosity rather than certainty, you become more than a lover, you become a mirror to her sensuality. Through anticipation, through subtlety, through grounded confidence and playful mystery, your touch transforms from something she tolerates into something she craves, and that is the difference between touching her and truly reaching her. Because in the end, it's not just about how you touch her breasts, it's about how you make her feel in her own skin, wanted, respected, alive.